But this is my house, Mommy. The one I asked Mr. Springer for. It is, I know it is.
Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, coming to you from New York City. This is real people buying real estate and their unique journey to get there. We share the tips, tricks, and frameworks to help you navigate the bumps in the road that you won't see on reality TV or social media, and which no one has talked about until now. If we're going to talk about buying a home, we should start where many of you start, which is gearing up to sell a home first. And today's client is none other than my mom. One of the biggest challenges of selling a home is decluttering. You might not know what to do first, and it often derails the whole process. What if there were a way to rethink decluttering? I'm not talking about diving into the Marie Kondo method, but something a lot simpler. Have a listen to this conversation with my mom about how she completely reframed getting rid of her stuff. And then we're going to speak to home organizer Jordan Marks to get into more detail about what she thinks about that conversation. So enjoy.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. We work with Brown Harris Stevens and many other top real estate firms, staging their homes to sell quickly and at the highest price possible. Our staging is affordable without sacrificing quality or design. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
I'm really happy to get my mom on the podcast. You know, I've recorded a podcast for over a year, and not once did I have you on, Mom. So everybody, this is Lois. Hi, Lois. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm great, thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here because we were talking about a story about your life that was so relevant to this podcast and what it's all about that I really wanted to have you share that story. I want to start a little bit further away from it, but then get into it. So I want to talk about Hurricane Katrina from 2005. And how did it prepare you for decluttering your house all those years later when you were getting ready to sell your house and downsize?
I think you realize that a lot of what you have, once you lose a lot of it, you realize kind of how unimportant most of it is. And you can still cherish the things that you love, but when you lose a lot of material things, it kind of takes a lot of the value away from what you have. And when you start restocking your home after something like that, you really think about what it is you want to put in it.
So just to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, you had flood waters come into your house during Hurricane Katrina, and I know you had to you were like so many people, had to throw away so much. And you come out of that, and yet you still have a lot of stuff that you've restocked.
Correct.
And not everything was on the ground floor. There was a second floor. So, and you owned the house for 30 years. So anybody would accumulate a lot of stuff. When it came time to sell and downsize, how did you approach decluttering?
I knew there were some definite things I could get rid of. I got rid of those. I emptied a closet and I took over a guest room, and I decided that I knew I wanted to sell. And before I actually listed the house, I needed to get rid of certain things. And I know enough about real estate to know you don't want personal pictures, and you really do need to declutter to a great extent. So I started putting stuff into a separate room, and that really helped me kind of coordinate what I wanted and what I didn't want. And it really made the process easier. And at the same time, I was giving away things. So I started feeling really good about asking my kids if they wanted something, my friends if they wanted something, Dress for Success if they needed something.
What was
And I started this
Dress for
process.
Success?
Dress for Success is an organization that takes clothing, used clothing, and helps dress women when they get ready to go on job interviews. and we dress them and we do a resume for them. And it's a wonderful organization to help put people on their feet. Instead of just giving them things, we teach them how to get a job and support themselves. So as I'm giving things away, I really just had this feeling that it's such a wonderful opportunity to do some good things.
And was there a moment as you were going through this when things shifted? Because so many people out there, if you're listening, you're probably dreading, even if you're not selling your house, the thought of going through all of your life and getting rid of things can seem so overwhelming. So, Mom, what was the shift? Was there a moment when it became more about doing some good? Do you remember said, wait a minute, this is something.
Dress her success was step one. And from that, I just start going, gosh, I don't care if I give away something, excuse me, that costs $500. If I don't have a place for it and I know I'm not going to take it with me and none of my children want it, why would I either buy someplace to store it or put it in an attic and let it go to waste when I could have someone who could enjoy it? And it felt real at that point. It became kind of a fun exercise. Like, who can I give this to? Can I donate this to some group? And I actually got the name of a few places that take certain things. And as I started getting rid of things, I felt so much lighter. It became more fun. It became less of a chore. And I felt really good about giving these things to people that could really use them.
We were talking about it, that you talked about this $500 item, this sort of mythical $500 item that, maybe if you sold it at either a garage sale or whatever, might sell for $25 or even $50, and that person who bought it might never have been able to enjoy something if it had been $500. So it's almost like you turned this into like you were like Robin Hood, or so that you were doing something like an act of generosity, but people, when they donate, it's not just the donating. It's like how much contact you have with the people that are getting this. I guess you had an estate, like not an estate sale, but like a company come in and do some of this for you.
Right. So we had a group, they do this a lot in New Orleans, and they came in and they call it an estate sale. And I'm not even sure what they get for each item. At the end of the day, we might have sold $20,000 worth of stuff at retail, and maybe we ended up with $20 or $2,000 worth of what we got back. But at the woman who did it called me and said, that duvet thing that you sold? And I said, yeah, it was one of my favorite pieces. I just didn't have any room for it in our new townhouse. She said the woman called me almost in tears, saying that this is what she needed to complete her living room and she couldn't afford something like that, and that this just made her whole living room come to life. And she was so appreciative to the woman that did the sale, that she did these things because it enabled her to get something she could never afford. And so she called me to tell me the story, and it just made me feel so good. And it made the whole process feel really good because I know that I sold jewelry, I sold furniture, I sold leftover, maybe a mink coat, maybe that was my mother's that I'd never wear, laundrette, whatever it was. The people that bought it stood in line. They have this sale. They stand in line for an hour. They get a ticket, and then they go pick whatever they want and bring it and buy it. And I thought each of these people stood in line to get something that they couldn't afford. And I was able to give them something that I didn't need. And even though it was a lot more value, perhaps, than what I got monetarily, it just was a real gift. It was sort of getting a spirit of generosity in the process of selling my house.
And it was,
And, sometimes too, when you think of dollars, I remember when I bought this house, there was another offer coming in, and my realtor looked me in the face and said, "Are you willing to lose this house over $5,000?" And I said, "No." And so I upped the price. And it seemed like a lot at the time, but in the overall scheme of a 20-year, 30-year mortgage, it's nothing. And I just kind of had that same feeling like I was kind of passing this on to someone. And when I got ready to move, I did not take one thing that I didn't have a place for. So I got rid of, but basically donated it to people, not just some big place where they put it out. The people that got this stuff are people that really wanted it. So it was really a person to person donation, even though I don't know that person. And it just felt really good and enabled me to move on. And I left that house, a house that I love more than anything. But I moved into my new townhouse, and it's so strange. I did not miss my big house. I didn't miss the yard and the pool and the maintenance and everything else. And I had this overwhelming feel of just wonderment that I could do so much for so many people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it sounds like you got, in the words of maybe therapy, like you got some closure. That wasn't about the
Exactly.
closing; it was about closure.
That's
And
true.
in terms of the
That's a good one.
people to people part of it, you also gave items not just to family, but some friends. Maybe somebody had a comment here or there. These were things like if they said they didn't want something, of course you didn't. No big deal. But you also you told me that you go and visit some of your stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. One of my friend's daughters loved all my Mackenzie Child stuff.
This is the
And it
place from
wasn't something that was going to work.
upstate New York,
Huh? That's
right, where
right.
they make it. Mhm.
A decorative item. And I had several pieces. And so before I had the sale, I said, Morgan, you want to come over? I want to show you some stuff. And she took it all and she has it in her house. And I had a really beautiful chandelier, a reverse painted chandelier that hung in a 20-foot or 25-foot den. And one of my friends just always loved it, always loved it. I said, well, if your husband can come and take it down, because you need a scaffolding to get it down, I'll put it in as an exemption to the sale. And then she did it. He came over, he took it down. It's in a bunch of pieces. It's by an artist called Ula Darney. It's a really beautiful piece. But they took it down and it hangs in her house. And I can go to her house, and it's funny. She has one of my paintings in her house. She has this beautiful chandelier in her house. And it's like I can go visit my things, but it meant so much to her. And she's a dear friend of mine. And she's one of the people that grew up across the street from me when I was first married. She's like 20 years younger than I am. And again, she couldn't afford this stuff, but now she has it in her house and she's like, my nickname is Lolo. And she said, we Lolo-fied our house with all of your things. And I said, that's great. And it makes me feel so good.
Well, now that you're on the other side, was there any one or two big things that you learned from the process of this decluttering? And for the people out there listening, is there any advice that you would give to people who are struggling with decluttering, even if they're not moving, but just trying to get rid of stuff?
It feels so good to be able to, when somebody says, I can't find scissors, and I can go, oh, I'll tell you exactly the drawer they're in. They're in the kitchen. If you go to the far drawer on the right side, they're in that drawer on the top drawer. It's like I know where things are. I actually have a closet that has hanging space that's empty. I have some drawers that are empty. And there is a lightness of living when you don't have all that stuff. It really feels so good. And, they have people that do this professionally, they have people that come and clean out your stuff, but there's so much stuff that you don't need. And if it helps you to donate it to a school, all the paper goods and whatever, or donate it to an organization, if that helps you let go, it's about letting go. And when you let it go, it's like you're doing something really good for someone else, if you can look at it that way. And you're also doing something really great for yourself because you cannot believe how wonderful it feels to lighten up without all that stuff. I don't know. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Mom. I hope to have you back many times in the future to talk about different fun things and moving things, but we'll leave it there. And I love you. You're the best mom ever.
I love you too.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
After the break, we're going to speak with home organizer Jordan Marks of It's Organized to see what she thinks about the conversation we just had and to see what tips and tricks she has for you.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. We work with Brown Harris Stevens and many other top real estate firms, staging their homes to sell quickly and at the highest price possible. Our staging is affordable without sacrificing quality or design. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Well, I'm thrilled to have on the podcast today Jordan Marks. Jordan, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I want to give you a little bit of background for Jordan. Jordan and her partner Cheryl are the co-owners of It's Organized, which is a premier organizational design firm. And after working in real estate for 15 years, she and Cheryl have created offices in New York, New Jersey, and California. And it's great to have you here. And not only that, but you've got about 100,000 followers on Instagram who are really excited to see all the different ways you keep people organized. So I want to dive in. You know, you had a chance to listen to the conversation that I had with my mom.
Yeah.
And my question is this, my first question is, how do most people think about decluttering as an act of service?
I would say a small percentage. There are definitely some who look at it that way, but I think as we go through the process with them and we start to show them the different people who can benefit from them, just like your mom mentioned, Dress for Success is a wonderful organization. So when we can help people identify organizations that are important to them or that are going to make a difference with receiving the items they have to donate, then they really start to get on board with that. So some come into the process with it and some kind of jump on that bandwagon a little bit later on. But either way, when we get them there, it's really great to see how they make that transition. And it really helps them start to make those hard decisions and get rid of items that they've been holding on to that they no longer need.
And what tends to keep people, from enjoying decluttering? I mean, I know that sellers, a lot of the clients I work with, really, I don't think they mean to be negative. They're just so resistant, or it can take months.
Yeah.
Okay, Scott, we're ready. We're finally ready. And they'll come back to me so much, so far down the line, compared to when we thought we were going to be working together. So is there one main thing that keeps people from enjoying this?
I think there's a few key things. One, when people are faced with a lot to declutter, it's paralyzing. They don't know where to start. If you've ever pulled out a closet and then kind of sat there with the mess around you and not knowing what to do next, it's very paralyzing to people. So having sometimes organizers to work with them, work them through the process, having more hands available is really helpful. The other part of it is sometimes either the financial or the emotional attachment to the item. So I look at my parents who were immigrants here and they say, well, we know what this cost and it's so hard to get rid of that item when there's a value to it. Or this memory, I need to hold on to the item because this memory was so important to me. And while we're not encouraging people to get rid of everything unless they want to, we really want them to pick and choose which items they really need to keep to hold on to the memory, or maybe which items they want to sell similar to your mom in an estate sale that has some value to it so that they feel like they've given a donation but maybe recouped a little bit of the value of the item if that's their hold up on getting rid of the item. So it tends to fall into one of those three categories. Why, when we walk in to situations that clients really need our help, it's usually one of those three categories, and it takes time. So that's sort of why you get those delays, because it takes time to make the decisions and it takes time to work through the stuff.
Yeah, the feedback I've gotten from, it's contractors, decorators, and I think it's every professional that comes in to help people who want to decorate or sell, whatever it is, that the indecisiveness is like the killer for so many, certainly for timelines. But I recently was talking to a seller who I recommended someone to come in and help them, to give it, like to do what you're doing, but not with offices in 3 different places and level experience, but someone just kind of an extra set of hands.
Yeah.
And they called me so excited. Oh my God, she was amazing. She really helped. And so my question to you is there like one secret that you deploy, like one, line, something that kind of puts people over the top and gets people excited about doing this work? Is there any one thing?
I would say maybe there's 2 quick answers to that. One being, when you have to tell someone out loud, not having the conversation in your head, but when you're telling someone out loud why you're holding on to this item, that's sometimes enough for someone to say, oh, well, in my head, the conversation made sense. But now that I'm saying it out loud to you, oh, there are other ways to preserve this memory. And it's just sometimes as simple as having to answer to someone who's not a family member or who has this goal in mind to help you get to your end point of selling the home, decorating the home, whichever it is. That verbal conversation is a really good instigator to get some of the items out. So that is really one of the things. And I think the other thing is, and I use this with my own parents all the time, think about when you came here with very little and who else could benefit from it. There's so many people in need in this country and so many people who are not as fortunate as many of us are, and who can really benefit from it. And that is a huge motivator as well. So I think it's usually one of those 2 avenues that resonates with clients. And we don't always know right from the start which one, but through conversation and getting to know our clients, we can usually help guide them in the right direction and sort of get an indication of which is the bigger motivator.
That's really, like, I feel really kind of happy, like listening to that. It's like you're giving someone the opportunity to kind of verbalize why they're holding on to something. And I think that's something like that anyone out there, if you're listening, that's a question you could ask your own parents when they're decluttering, or you could ask your spouse, hey, why are you holding on to this? Yeah. And just asking the question and letting them tell you, maybe they realize it's not as big a deal. They actually don't even know why.
Yeah. And that definitely happens. But also, if it is so important to them, then part of the goal is to help them find a way to enjoy it and have it be prominent in their home. And then if not, having tons of stuff boxed away is not a way to enjoy that memory. So it's also about helping them figure out the best way, if they are holding on to it, how to enjoy it going forward.
Now, I do think it on some level that just having you, like when you walk into a home, they've already committed to kind of working with you, maybe even paid a little bit of money towards your work. Hey, they've a few hours of time with you or a package or something like that. Not everybody has that sort of like, okay, once you've committed, it's like, okay, well, we're doing this.
Yeah, so, we are.
Are there any other tips or tricks for sellers or buyers preparing to move? Any last thoughts on one really good thing that somebody can do as they're thinking about this?
So I would say start small. Don't pull out the whole cabinet. Start with a drawer. Start with a smaller space and tackle that area so that you don't get paralyzed, that you don't feel overwhelmed. And the other thing I would say is set up some boxes. So and this is especially for potential, buyers and sellers as they're planning their moves, set up boxes, have a box of items that you want to toss. have a box of items that you know you want to sell, and have a box of items that you know you want to donate. So that what is remaining in the furniture, in the cabinets, in your space are the things you know you want to move with. And gradually start adding to those boxes. Those are kind of some simple ways to start tackling it on your own when you don't have multiple sets of hands in the space to really help you work through a lot of volume all at once. But I think if you tend to pull out an entire closet, you're going to stop and be like, I can't handle this. So do it small, do it gradually, set up some key boxes to help manage the process for you. And I think that'll be really helpful for those that are looking to tackle it on their own.
Well, you heard it first here from Jordan Marks, the queen of decluttering, and from It's Organized. Jordan, thank you so much for being here. And if there's one place that people can check you out, where would they go on social?
They can feel free to visit us on It's Organized on Instagram, or they can come to our website, which is www.its-organized.com, and you can reach us through our contact page there.
Great. Thanks, Jordan. We'll make sure your contact info and your socials are in the show notes as well. And good talking to you.
Great talking to you as well. Thank you so much for having me.
That's our show for today. Thanks to our guests and experts for being here. If you like the podcast, we're produced by and part of the More Network, powered by Brown Harris Stevens. Check out all the amazing podcasts on the network talking about the New York City real estate market and beyond. If you found this episode helpful, rate and review it wherever you listen to your podcasts. Push that follow button on YouTube, share it with your friends, and check out how to recommend guests or apply to be on the show. You can discover other ways to pursue your home right there in the show notes. Real estate touches every aspect of our lives, from design and architecture to investing and the economy. Now there's a way to get all your real estate information in one place, the More Network. With more than 20 webcast series and podcasts, the Mastery of Real Estate Network is powered by Brown Harris Stevens, one of the country's most distinguished brokerages. Discover advice from notable entrepreneurs, compelling topics, and access top global real estate experts. Learn more about and subscribe to our YouTube and Apple podcasts by visiting getmorenetwork.com.